U.S. city volunteers distribute cash cards to wildfire-affected residents. City volunteers make red envelopes of blessing and wisdom at Wanhua Jing Si Hall. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Siri Su. Thank you for joining us. In the United States, California wildfires have devastated Medford, destroying many houses. City volunteers from Portland, Northern California, and Seattle have traveled to the disaster area to distribute cash cards and blankets to the affected residents. In the aftermath of the fire, houses have become ruins. Residents have lost their belongings due to the wildfires.
Into the canyon, even though it was very, very heavily smoky, there were still fire hot spots all around in the forest, driving alongside the highway. I got to my place and it was indeed just flat.
Being helpless, the affected residents wait for help. City volunteers from 3 places have come to help out at the distribution in Medford, cooperating with the local recovery center for the second time.
Tzu Chi was also in the Paradise Fires. They did a fabulous job assisting the applicants to try to get through the situation they were in. So when I heard that they wanted to come here, quite frankly, I was excited.
Very, very pleased that with FEMA's support, we were able to accomplish our mission smoothly and effectively. And I'm so glad to see Peter here, and we can collaborate again. And we hope we don't have to do that again.
Someday you will help other people.
A total of 126 families received cash cards and aid supplies.
I just love you so much, and I want to do that. I want to get, when I take this one, I want to get another one.
In our hearts.
The affected residents are grateful to the volunteers for helping them get through the tough times. Typhoon Goni struck the Philippines recently and caused mudslides. After assessing the damage, city volunteers went to a community in Batangas to host work for relief program. On the first day, 530 residents joined the ranks of cleaning their community. Considering the pandemic and a natural disaster, the amount of relief was increased to $20 a day, which is 2 times higher than local salaries.
Shovels, buckets, wheelbarrows, and cleaning tools were ready, plus large bobcats and 2 trucks rented by volunteers as Tzu Chi's Work for Relief program began in Batangas.
After Typhoon Kitsana in 2009, we went to Marikina to help clean for 18 days, while in 2013, because of Typhoon Haiyan, we went to Tacloban to host Work for Relief program.
Before everyone started to work, volunteers briefly introduced the origin of Tzu Chi's Work for Relief program in the Philippines. After that, 530 community residents began to clean up. The mission of the first day was to clean public areas.
When we came yesterday to assess the disaster damage, there was not so much trash on the road. I didn't expect there to be so much trash today. They took out all their trash at home. It's really a lot.
It was indeed very time-consuming to clean the mud after the water receded. Volunteers share their experience. The firefighting volunteer group that has cooperated with Tzu Chi also came to help.
I'm very grateful to you because of your motivation. Our streets, which are muddy before, are already much cleaner. After that, we can focus on cleaning our house.
We are very happy to have a charity organization like Tzu Chi come to our community. Their hearts are with us. After this disaster, they cared for us. I'm very grateful to Tzu Chi Foundation and the kind-hearted people around the world for their assistance.
Although this community is not large, the line streets and alleys cannot be completely cleaned up in one day. Tzu Chi volunteers expected to spend another working day to complete the cleaning.
To provide musical instruments a second life, Tzu Chi has collected musical instruments from recycling stations all over Taiwan. After repairs by volunteers, they were then sent to Lobak, which is a small town on Bohol Island in the Philippines.
The The Philippine Noble Children's Choir, which sang for Typhoon Yolanda, is known as the Eastern Vienna Children's Choir. Having performed in more than 10 countries in Europe and Asia, its birthplace is Lobo, which is a music town on Bohol Island in the Philippines. 25 snare drums and bass drums were shipped from Taiwan to the Philippines and delivered to a local high school.
Thank you, Tzu Chi Foundation, for donating these instruments to our children.
Para sa atong mga kabataan din sa barangay Uy.
Thank you, Tzu Chi Foundation. Thank you, Master Sa mga bata na at least na.
For children, especially those that are gifted, this is really a great help. These instruments allow them to show their talent.
Wind band or music class may be very common in Taiwan, but here on Bohol Island, it is actually a very extravagant activity. If there are some second-hand instruments or some instruments to be eliminated from elementary or high schools in Taiwan, we welcome them to be sent to Bohol Island. Our children here will be very happy.
Second-hand musical instruments, which were repaired and restored at the Tzu Chi recycling station, have become a treasure for Filipino students, who turn the instruments into music that can reach people's hearts.
Wanhua Jing opened a clothing store in Yilan and was at the peak of her career. Suddenly, she was shocked by the diagnosis of leukemia. She turned to Tzu Chi's bone marrow data bank for help. Actually, she studied at Tzu Chi's School of Nursing and found a donor from the same university.
在人生就是你觉得最幸福的时候，然后突然间老天爷开了个玩笑，他不是给了我吗？你为什么要收回去？
I don't want to remember that time. You don't even know how I was going to get by.
Ten years ago, she completed the dream of opening a store. Wanhua Jing was a one-person company.
周六的夜晚，妈妈们快点，赶快来抢！
Being a one-person company is not easy because you have to always work and there's no chance to rest. I even organized my clothing during the holidays to start this business. I hope I could show some achievements in the short term.
In 2013, a serious illness led her to press pause on her life. She was only a week from hospitalization with a fever when she was diagnosed with acute lymphocytic leukemia. At that time, her son was only 10 months old.
At that time, the doctor told me and asked if I had any family members who were younger siblings. Later, when the two of them did the test, they weren't able to match. So Dr. Xiao asked whether or not I was willing to do chemotherapy or direct blood pairing.
I told myself that there is someone who really needs you. Without you, maybe there is no chance she can survive.
Waiting for a transplant requires going through different layers of checks, which can be torment for some.
I thought of my child because he was only 10 months old at that time. I was thinking that he was still very young and just needed a mother.
I still had to go and see if the match with the other party is high. Then I learned that I was given priority and I felt very happy that I could save her.
In addition to donating the stem cells, she did whatever she could to save this person's life.
I walked as much as I could and tried to get the most nutrition. I'll try my best to eat the things that give all the cells in my body the best chance to save her. I hope that she can go through some of her treatment periods very smoothly.
Staying in the sterile room for a month, being on the other side of the transparent glass is hard to sustain the soul as it bears a heavy burden.
My family took turns helping take care of him. In fact, everyone would take videos and photos whenever they see him. They put it on the refrigerator in my ward, and I can feel him every day.
One donor can quickly reverse the destiny of a person's life and their family.
You didn't save me alone, but saved my whole family so that I could stay with my children.
Tzu Tzu Chi's Malacca branch has a key recipient who has 3 children. Her 2 daughters got married and moved away. She currently lives with her son, who has been out of work for 8 years. Tzu Chi volunteers provided a living allowance and continue to care for this elderly grandmother.
I took these to wash them and dry them.
Although she sits in a wheelchair, 78-year-old Luo Huiluan continues to do housework diligently. She still insists on this every day.
It's a pity to throw this recycling away. I wash the ones that can be used and give it to the recycling station. I can't walk with my feet, and it's hard to do things. I'm afraid of falling as I don't have anyone to help cut my hair, so she cut it for me.
Luo Huiluan said that she was a Tzu Chi volunteer. 8 years ago, her life with her son fell into difficult times, and Tzu Chi volunteers continue to care about her life and mental health.
I have lived here for more than 20 years. I often walked and jogged by. When I saw her situation, she told me that she really needs help from others and asked me to help her.
She takes good care of me, to be honest. When she eats, she thinks about if I have nothing to eat. She always thinks like this.
What if there's a strong wind? A lot of leaves will fly in. When I came to her house and saw it, I cleaned with her. This is what we should do when we come here.
Being in a wheelchair throughout the year means going out to meet people is the happiest thing for Luo Huiluan. When Tzu Chi organizes the year-end distribution every year, this is an activity that she never misses.
Brothers are very happy to drive me to New Year's events. Sometimes they talk to me a little bit, which makes me very happy because I'm lonely at home. No one talks to me and I would be miserable without Tzu Chi.
Now she's happy. Look at her talking and laughing and joking. She used to be sad, and that's not the case today.
The loving companionship of the volunteers allows this elderly grandma to let go of her depression and feel the warmth of the world.
Affected by the pandemic, social subsidies have been reduced, with homeless shelters facing a shortage of supplies. So the volunteers of Malacca sent 150 blankets so that homeless people can feel the warmth of society.
These brand new blankets are of good quality and quite warm. Before the weather turns cold, Tzu Chi volunteers sent 150 eco-friendly blankets to the shelter.
Our center is indeed facing a shortage of supplies, and our center is almost full. The center can accommodate a total of 152 people. Now there are 145 people living here. Thank you very much for coming and bringing us so much help.
I came last week. I saw some beds without quilts. So we came today and give them our eco-friendly blankets and let them feel the love of Tzu Chi people.
Low compassion has allowed these homeless people to feel the warmth of society and get a good night's sleep.
At Tzu Chi's year-end blessing ceremonies every year, participants receive red envelopes of blessing and wisdom. They're made by volunteers in different communities. Recently, Tzu Chi volunteers gathered at Wanhua Jing Si Hall to make red envelopes of blessing and wisdom. In order to make 30,000 red envelopes of blessing and wisdom for overseas volunteers, volunteers have gathered at Wanhua Jing Si Hall for 6 consecutive days since October 31st.
When I slipped and fell, I supported myself with my hand and fractured it. While making red envelopes, I did not have to exert much force, so it does not affect my injured hand.
I've discovered that it is a great task. In the past, when I participated in year-end blessing ceremonies, I did not know that. This year, I've realized that many people need to gather to accomplish this task. I'm very lucky that I'm able to participate and form good affinities with global Tzu Chi volunteers.
At the red envelope making session, there are new volunteers every year, so senior volunteers have to guide them.
The red envelope making every year is about the same, although the words from the master are different. So, people got used to making them. As they get used to making red envelopes, they will neglect some small steps.
With the guidance of senior volunteers, the quality of red envelopes can stay the same. 94-year-old Grandma Yun Qing has come for 3 years with the companionship of her daughter.
She has something to do here. She does the work with joy. And after she started doing the work, she will continue until she does not want to go back.
As volunteers make the red envelopes, they also deliver their best wishes to the recipients of these precious gifts.
Beijing City volunteers entered the Shengxing Dadi community in 2017. At the beginning, residents were very indifferent, but now they're being inspired to recycle resources.
Animal-based foods contain something called cholesterol.
In the community square, Gan Yehua, who is a university professor, talks loudly about the importance of vegetarianism. He has vowed to promote vegetarianism for the remainder of his life.
As long as there is audience, even if there is only one person, and I think that I can change his eating style, I will still be very happy.
Community residents are also very supportive. Some of them even stop and listen while some are determined to change.
Sea cucumber contains less fat and rich in protein. After I read this story, there is no need to eat sea cucumber in the future.
Eat less pork and more soybeans. Soybeans are always better than pork.
Some of the community residents agreed and responded to what Tzu Chi volunteers said. But 3 years ago, everyone was very indifferent. Volunteers did not give up, and now they have a good understanding.
I particularly agree with this, and I also agree with the sorting recyclables.
Community residents never understood us before. Yet now they pick out the recyclables and have kept them for a week for us to collect. They also began to join our activities.
Just keep doing the right thing. If anyone has the same aspiration, the road will no longer be difficult.
The 30th anniversary of City's recycling mission was celebrated in Dalian as 220 recycling volunteers received items from Master Zheng Yan.
Grateful to recycling volunteers' 30 years of contribution, DaAi Dalian recycling station is crowded, as on the outside tabletop games are set up to warm up attendees. A health lecture was also held to improve healthcare knowledge. DaAi Technology made a special trip here to explain the origins and products of recycled PET bottle. The event was emotional as everyone received items from Master Zheng Yan, which was useful and eco-friendly.
Some of these things are from recycling volunteers. They sincerely took it back and sorted it. So we reused these things, renew it, and give it back to recycling volunteers. It's meaningful.
A total of 200 volunteers came to participate. Everyone knows that to be able to do recycling is a blessing.
The happiest thing for me is to let down my ego and to face it, and then I will be able to do it.
To cleanse the earth and to cleanse the mind, volunteers pledge to work harder for the next 30 years doing recycling.
The students of the Xingdian Si Hall class went on a field trip to Taipei's Pinling district. They got hands-on experience in recycling and also made soap.
Some disposable paper product seems to be recyclable, but once it reaches the recycling station, volunteers said otherwise. Keeping the items uncontaminated for recycling is not an easy task. The students from the Xingdian Si Hall class is learning about recycling this month, and they have taken a field trip to Pinling Recycling Education Station to get some hands-on experience.
The Feichui Reservoir has a water preservation area where the Pinling Recycling Station is at, and we thought it would be a good place for the students to visit.
From the beginning source to the completed sorting, we wanted the Tzu Chi's to learn how it's done and what can be recycled or what cannot be recycled. We hope they have a thorough understanding now.
During this field trip, they also learned how to make soap.
I want to give this to my grandmother and my aunt because they were the ones who encouraged me to attend the Tzu Chi class. and it's where I gained knowledge about recycling and environmental protection.
The day's events includes learning about tea history at the Tea Museum.
In the morning, I had no interest in tea, but after seeing the items in the museum, I gained some interest in it and kept asking the docent for more information. The docent was also very nice and continued to talk to me, and I learned a lot during that time.
Through this field trip, the Tzu Chis not only had a fun-filled day, but it was educational and informative as well.
In Taiwan, Changhua Tzu Chi basketball team members participate in a joint beach cleaning activity organized by Changhua County. It has been the third year. Many parents have set an example by taking their children to pick up garbage.
The coastal decks are full of plastic bottles and finished nets. Children participate in beach cleaning and pick up a lot of waste, which shocked them.
In fact, garbage is caused by everyone, and it's everyone's responsibility to take care of the environment. It is also an education for children.
The parents brought their children to clean the beach together. This is the third time they have been invited to participate.
Tzu Chi's efforts in recycling are obvious to all. If our beach cleaning activities can be integrated with Tzu Chi, I think this force can be exerted even more.
Tzu Chi also sees the opportunity to hold stem cell registry blood drive, hoping that the great love of protecting the environment can be also used to save people's lives.
City Foundation in China divided into 5 divisions to host a colorful vegetable painting competition. Among them, the Shenzhen division received 170 paintings with 23 winners. She holds the earth in her hands and her dreams. The vegetable food drawn on the picture proves that the beauty of the earth has a lot to do with vegetarianism.
Through this award, we can reach more people to spread the beauty of vegetarian food. We can't wait to spread this message.
Through colored pens, the children pass on their silent yearning for purity and beauty.
In New Taipei City, 200 city volunteers and city honorary board members have cleaned up a beach. The youngest participant is 5 years old, while the oldest one is 90 years old. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.